to the hilt, right? You ever talk to somebody who's obviously not getting the results that they want, and you're giving them all these solutions, and you're like, dude, you came to me for answers. I'm giving you answers, and you're defending, this shitty drink you're drinking, right? Right? But and I've been through that so much. And when I was coaching here for, I was the only coach in the office for 4 years. I really would try to pull people out of that hole. People that were desperately wanting to drink that drink, and I would spend hours and hours trying to get them out of the hole. And then something that one of my mentors said the other day, I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not in this business anymore. I'm not in the belief business. Okay? I'm not in the belief business. I'm not here to try to convince you what's true is true, right? If things aren't working out, if you're not getting the results, the one thing, even if you don't listen to Gil or you don't listen to somebody else, the one thing you should do is do something different. I'm not in the belief business, right? So every time I tell the truth to somebody or I give somebody a script or a pattern and they don't do what they're supposed to do, I don't think to myself, man, I gotta make them believe. I think I need a better offer. And by the way, Tony Robbins is not in the belief business either. That's one of the first things he says. He's like, guys, I'm not a rah-rah motivational speaker. Matter of fact, I hate when people call me a motivational speaker. He goes, I'm a strategist, right? I'm giving you strategies, right? So have anybody seen this?
Yeah.
This Netflix special? Okay, so for those of you who have not been doing it, it doesn't do it justice, just so you know. But what I do love is the name of the special. What's the name of the special? I am not your guru, right? And I loved it when he said that because that really encompasses who he is. He's not trying to be somebody that you depend on. He's giving you strategies so that you can fix this shit yourself, right? So when he's not around, you find a way to shift yourself back, right? And so today I want to make you an offer. And one of my mentors, anybody know who this guy is?
Reese.
Mike Reese. He's one of your upline mentors, all right? This guy's a rock star. He's part of our organization, right? This is one of our mentors making $500,000 a month in residual income through EXP. Plus probably another 6 figures through all the other products and things he sells. This guy is a genius. And the first time I heard I'm not in the belief business was he was on anybody on the Global Alliance calls? Mm-hmm. Okay, if you're not, you should be. He was on one of those calls, and he takes people through a marketing system where he gets them indoctrinated into his beliefs, the value that he adds, all this stuff. And they're supposed to watch the webinar, and if they want to book a strategy call, they book one, and they get an email. They got to watch another video, right? He doesn't want to take the call unless they watch the video, right? And he knows whether they watched it or not, but they come on the call, and he says to them, watch the video because I want to spend the whole time on the call just answering questions. I'm not here to pitch you, right? And some lady comes on the phone, and she says, and he's like, hey, how you doing? They're shooting the shit. And she's like, all right, so what you got? And he was like, oh, no, ma'am, I don't have anything for you. She's like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, you either watched the video and didn't see the value or you didn't watch the video, but we're not going to spend the time on the call because I'm not in the belief business. Okay? If you didn't like the offer, I'm going to spend my time working on my offer. Okay? And I was like, bro, this guy is so hardcore. I was like, but he's right. None of you guys should be in the belief business. I'm going to make you an offer today. I'm going to make you an offer, and I'm going to offer you dance lessons. Okay? I'm going to offer you dance lessons. I don't know if you recognize this guy right here. Oh, watch it. Hey, watch the feet. Hey. This was actually UPW in 2019 in Miami, where we went to we were so high energy after the last day that we went to a restaurant and we were literally dancing with anybody. We were having a party the same way that people were dancing up front when you came up, right? So come up here for a second, Deontay. Let me show him something. So one thing that Tony did to recreate the seminar, right? Tony pulled the guy out of the thing and said, hey, look, stand up for me for a second. He's like, I want you to hold my wrist. Like, hold my wrist, both hands, real hard. He goes, and he's like, all right, hold it real hard and don't let me go anywhere, right? And he's like, all right, I'm gonna try to go in a direction. And I'm going like this. And he looked back, he goes, this is fear, okay? This is fear. Every time you try to go the way you wanna go, this is what fear does to you. And even if I look at it and say, it doesn't really exist, and I try to go, it's still there. And so he was like, why don't you align with it? He goes, and he pulled the guy's hand up. He's like, why don't you dance with it? Right? Why don't you take it where you want to go, right? Hey! Okay, we're good. No more dancing. We're good. I'm good. So here's the deal. What if you aligned with it and you danced with it instead of pretending it's not there? right? What if you stop running away from what the fear is and go right at it and just align with it and dance with it, right? It's a different energy. When he does that with another, especially with another guy, you start realizing that you could kind of be playful with fear because it's not going nowhere. And this is what Tony said. I can be fearful and do it anyway. I don't have to get rid of fear. I just have to dance with it. And I was like, man, that was such a great reminder for me because some of us are getting real comfortable and we're not looking for things that really stretch us and give us that fear, kind of like what you were looking for, Devin. And it's time to dance with fear. So Gil always says, I've only watched 4 movies, right? And I seem to use these same 4 movies. So I'm gonna give you number 5. I'm gonna give you number 5 to illustrate my point. So this is one of my favorite actors, Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is actually a bodyguard who has been hired to protect this rich family in Mexico. And so he has to follow this little girl around, and he starts going to her swim meets. And she's very, very dejected. She feels she keeps losing the races, and she says to herself, I'm a slow swimmer, right? I'm a slow swimmer. I'm a slow swimmer. He's like, no. I've been watching you. He goes, you're not a slow swimmer. He goes, you're just afraid of the gun. Every time that gun goes off at the beginning of the race, you hesitate. And that's why you're losing races, and not because you're a slow swimmer. So he goes through this process to try to change her mindset about what's going on. So first thing he does is have her face her fear. So he gets these wood blocks, and he starts rubbing them together. Shh. He's like, concentrate. He goes, bam! And he hits them real hard like that, and she flinches, and she's like, what'd you do? She's like, I flinched. He goes, that's right. He's like, right. And so he starts giving her a mantra. He says, say this with me. He goes, the gun holds no fear. She's like, the gun holds no fear. He goes, again. She goes, the gun holds no fear. He's like, again. And then she shouts it and puts her body and her soul into it. And he's like, that's right. And then he says, matter of fact, you welcome the sound. You are a prisoner on this block until that sound sets you free. You are a prisoner on this block until that sound sets you free. And sure enough, he claps again and she's off, right? And of course, you guys probably already know what movie this is. If you haven't, it's one of my favorites.
Man on Fire. Let's go.
It's called Man on Fire. I love bringing up, when I start looking, you guys recognize this guy right here? Does he even look the same? Well, that's Gil. This is actually about the 4th or 5th, probably the 3rd or 4th fire walk that you did. And I know I have a shitty camera, so I don't want to hear it. But what happens in this fire walk, it's a metaphor for you to actually face the fear, the same way that Denzel forced her to face her fear. So, and it's something has to happen before you get to this point, the same way that Gil's daughter was going through something. She started getting in her head, and she started trying to run away from the fear. Matter of fact, told him, just tell people I did it. Just to run away from the fear instead of face the fear. And when she got back to it, they do something at this very front, right? Which is they try to put you in what? What do you have to be for the people who went? What do you have to be before you go on this walk? You have to be in state, right? And in state is a way of being. It's an energy that you bring to the game. It's a way of thought that you bring to the game. And if you're not in the right state, you will burn your feet. That's just the way it is. So Tony Robbins says, change your state, you change your story. Because in the state that little girl was in, telling herself that she was a slow swimmer, that she didn't have what it took, how do you change your story? When you say, I am, whatever follows after that can't be changed, can it? That's who you are. So he says, if you change your state, you change your story. And that's what he was doing when he was on the blocks with her. So Tony Robbins does a little exercise that he shows you. I'm going to give you this. It sounds so simple, but it works, right? He gives you a way to change your state immediately. How quickly can you change it? Immediately. Just like that, right? Immediately. And there's 3 steps to do it. And number 1 is physiology. What does that mean? It means using your body. So everybody sit up straight right now. Straight up in your chair right now. Do you feel a little bit different? You're more alert, just a little. 2 millimeter shift. What Denzel did with that young girl, he said, come and step here on the block. And she was all like anticipating the sound. He says, don't anticipate the sound, just listen for it. Stop worrying about the sound. Just stand up straight, get your posture right, stay calm, and listen for the sound. Okay, the sound that sets you free. That's the first thing he did. The second thing is he switched the focus. Her initial focus is, I'm scared of the sound. I'm scared of it. I'm fearful of this sound. But he shifted her focus. He said, no, actually, you welcome the sound. You are a prisoner on these blocks until that sound sets you free. And that was a different belief. Now she's focusing on something totally different. That sound no longer scares her. That sound is what sets her free. And then finally, it's the language, right? And this is one of the things that agents do the most is they say things out of their mouth that I just know are so destructive. Or they use words that are just way overblown for what's really happening. This is a disaster. Really? Is it? Is it, losing your house in a hurricane? Disaster, okay? Somebody didn't give you your extension for your deal? Not a disaster. It's just not. It's not a disaster. But what did he do? He changed your language. He said, the gun holds no fear. The gunshot holds no fear. The gunshot holds no fear. And he changed the language and it shifted everything in them. Here's the other thing you have to realize. So I don't know if you recognize these guys. You got to bring energy to this. Energy is the cure-all. Tony, he says, I didn't remember the part about the patterns, but I remember spending 2-3 hours on how important energy was and what you bring to the table. Energy is the cure-all. How you walk into a room, how you attack things, how you attack the energy that you bring to attack your problems. Some people want to put energy into their problems. I want to put energy into solutions. It's just where you divert your energy. Okay, some people are addicted to problems. They're addicted to it. They just want to repeat them. And then you find other people who love it too. And then they all get together and talk about their problems. And then there's another group over here that's just focused on solutions. And you have to bring energy to that. So I'm going to give you 3 dance lessons. Okay? Dance lesson number 1. Okay? Energy is the foundation of dance. Anybody met a great low energy dancer? I've never met one. A great low energy dancer. You met them? Okay, so if you're going to dance with fear, you got to bring energy to this game. Okay? It's the way you show up. It's your posture. It's everything you do. It's okay. I know it seems weird, people hopping around and stuff like that, but man, you guys are stuck sometimes. I even told Annie this week, I was like, you need to get out of your house. You need to move your body. Part of it is just moving your body. Every time I do a Zoom call, you can't be at your house, right? Because I don't know what's happening there, but there's not a lot of motion going on there. You got to be around this, okay? You got to dance like this. Like if you're going to dance, like this is the kind of energy I want you to bring. And when you dance with fear, this is the kind of energy I want you to bring, okay? Dance lesson number 2. Comfort is a shitty dance partner. Comfort is a shitty dance partner, man. And we all always need to think the minute that we get comfortable, we have to start thinking to ourselves, we're getting worse, right? There's something that needs to challenge us. If it ain't scaring us, we're probably not thinking big enough. And by the way, we all go through this. I go through this all the time. Right now, I'm like, dude, what's the big monster? And, Gil's been one of the best at this. Gil loves killing monsters, right? Like, I bring him, I'm like, hey, Gil, we can barely afford this amount of building. He's like, all right, triple that. Let's go after it. And I'm like, what's wrong with this app? But I get it. I get it. Because, see, if that story didn't look like that, you would have never heard about David and Goliath. You'd have never heard about David and Goliath if they were the same size. If he wasn't fighting a tall monster, we would have never heard that story. Am I right? Okay. And then dance lesson number 3 is dancing is a skill. It's a skill. You can learn dance, right? So dancing with fear is a skill. You just have to dance more, right? When I showed that video of Deontay, that was in 2019. You had just started doing dance lessons, right? Yeah. He actually does take dance lessons, right? Salsa lessons, all right? Let me ask you a question. Are you the same dancer you were when you were dancing in that video? And so you're telling me that repetition is the mother of skill. So the more you dance with fear, the stronger that you get. So this is a skill that can be learned. Here's what I believe. Where you see confidence, I see repetitions. Every time you see somebody and you're like, man, that girl is so confident. Man, she just got it. I see repetitions. You understand? I just know she's done it over and over. She's just done it a lot more times than me. She built that skill. So I'll leave you with this because something happens at the very end of that scene. And he's timing her and she's going and he's going with the little scene, right? And then she finally hits her like record-breaking time. And she's like, yes. And she's like, She looks at him, his name is Creasy. He said, Creasy. She's like, I'm tough, aren't I? And this is what he said. There's no such thing as tough. There's only trained and untrained. Which one are you?